Hi guys. I don't know if anyone's gonna get on. I don't usually go live in this group, but it seemed like the best place for it because this is my group about nutrition, and all of you know what I'm talking about with the container system. So we'll see how this goes. Something new that I'm trying. But I truthfully want to have this video for the future to refer people to, because I have learned a lot in 3 weeks of the 80-day obsession meal plan. And I didn't want to do this live on my public page because, first of all, I'd have to start at square one and explain what the container system is, and you guys already know. But I also think that when we get into this, it sounds a little bit well, obsessive, right? We know what we mean by 80-day obsession, but the colors and the details, I mean, it just can sound to the untrained ear that just getting bogged down in details that aren't really that important. And so I just want to kind of dispense with that and talk to people who get it and who have tried this plan and share my experience. For those of you who are thinking about doing 80-day obsession and maybe wondering how it's different from 21-day fix and what some of the benefits might be from timed nutrition and a plan that tells you exactly what time to eat which containers and in which combinations. So that's one objective here tonight, to help you decide if this might be something that would benefit you. And I honestly think that it might make you think about trying this plan if you haven't been, because honestly, I wasn't really into it. That's what I mean by truth time. I decided that I had to give it a try because I was curious. I wanted to find out what effect it might have for me, but I totally wasn't sold on it and kind of thought it was a pain in the butt. But I was like, okay, obviously, I mean, people are raving about this nutrition plan, and there's no way that I can advise or recommend my challengers to do it and tell them why and all of that if I don't understand it myself and I haven't tried it myself. So those were my motives for giving it a try, but it wasn't that I was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, is have somebody tell me exactly when to eat what. Not by any means. But I did give it a try, and I am giving it a try, and I am so, so glad. So here's my experience. Plan C, if I am not mistaken, was the plan that I was roughly eating in for 21-day fix. And of course, I've already forgotten the container counts, even though this was just last week. So I posted on my page, but I went up from plan C to plan D because here's what was going on. And this is not something I've really hidden, especially my team, when I would do my daily nutrition check-ins, there was always a treat involved. And I'm not judging anyone who lives your life that way. That's what I've been doing most of the time. Eating healthy, 90% of the day, and then have a little treat. And that's that's part of the enjoyment of life for some people. I really enjoy sweets and candy, okay? And that was the compromise I had come to. But then I said, okay, for this plan, new plan, gonna go all in. So I said, I'm giving the candy up. I couldn't make it one day, you guys, because I've realized I wasn't eating enough. And there was a point when I realized this plan C is probably not enough for me, but guess what I had to add? I had to add an extra serving of vegetables, which is actually probably 2, but I'll get to that. Had to add more protein, which is oh, how can I possibly do that? I already eat meat and I just don't want to figure it out. And, well, I got a teaspoon, but again, I was already eating probably more, but I'll address that in a minute. But so I had to add a green container and a red container, and then also a piece of fruit, which I don't know why. I don't like really enjoy eating fruit. I think it's the fact that it is so sweet, and I'm like, if I am having something sweet, I'd rather just have candy. But anyways, I decided to try the plan and really trust it and buy the friggin' fruit and figure out how to fit in a red container and a green container. And I decided to just do it. And it made a huge difference. So this was the whole reason why I never went up a plan before. Like I was hungry, dealing with cravings. I couldn't get through the day without eating a treat. And it was kind of that wiggle room in my diet where I would be, again, in plan C. It was the 1800 to 2099, 1800 to 2100. That plan is the one I was eating in, and it was never quite enough. So I would just like backfill it, and then it's like, okay, if I'm under eating, then it doesn't really matter if I eat a donut now and then because I am at a calorie deficit. But I really don't think it was serving my health or, you know, my goals for, not that I really want to lose weight, but I've been like kind of stuck with, you know, sometimes my tummy is a little bigger than I would like and things like that. So I'm just interested to see what is going to happen when I really 100% get that stuff out of my diet. But that left me eating in plan C without the treats, the like safety net of sugar, okay? And again, it's never something I tried to hide that I was doing that. I don't obviously post about it on my pages. I'm not going to be like, hey, eating a donut over here. But once in a while, I'd be like, hey, I got ice cream today, having some wine, things like that, having a beer. Because I do think that having treats can be a part of a healthy lifestyle, for sure. Just depends on what you want to make of it, right? That's a personal choice. But again, it's not something I was hiding, but it wasn't like an integral part of my social media because you guys look to me for healthy recipes, right? You don't need my help to eat a beer or drink a beer and eat a cupcake. You all can manage that. What you need is the healthy recipes that taste good. So that's why I focus more on that on my page. And wasn't necessarily sharing that this is like a daily thing for me, but it was, more or less. And there was a lot of guilt involved and a lot of beating myself up. So like, why can't I quit this? Why can't I go one day without having some sugar? You know, I felt like a failure, and it was all because I wasn't eating enough. Like, I wish that I could have gotten off of that, like, vicious cycle of beating myself up so long ago. Like, I really tried to interrupt the negative thinking, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, here at the office candy dish, I'm eating Starburst. I know I shouldn't be having this. I know it's not good for me. Why can't I say no to this? And I know it's just like a little bit of candy every day. It's not going to make a big difference, but why can't I stop? Right? That's where I was. And I'll tell you for the last 2 weeks, or well, I guess it's only been like a week. It's been like 9 days since I went up a bracket. Cravings completely gone. Just gone. Evaporated. Okay, guys, listen to me. Like, this is big. I keep getting distracted. I keep getting ahead of myself. Going back to, so eating in plan C, like my first week of 80-day obsession, committed to plan C, and there I was doing it. All in, 100%. I couldn't get through the day. I was lightheaded, thinking about food constantly. I would eat my meals, and they were like pretty big on 80-day obsession. You know, it's like large servings of vegetables and protein. They really fill you up. But I would get to the end of one of these meals and I would still be hungry at the end of the meal. I'd be like, is that it? And then again, counting the minutes to the next meal. Now this plan has you eating every 2 to 3 hours while you're awake, basically. You get 5 meals a day. Pre and post workout, and then 3 others. So roughly what I do is, I'm not going to get into the details because those of you who are in the program, you know, and those who aren't, you don't need to know this level of detail yet. But there's meals you can swap and things like that, and then there's other meals that you can't. But I wake up and eat, drink my shake first thing, so like 6 a.m. My workout is like 6:30 to 7:30. Then my recovery shake and post-workout, well, recovery shake right away, post-workout meal 9 a.m. when I get to, well, I get to work before that, but the meal, you know, by the time I get settled, 9 a.m. Okay, so the meals are at 9, 12, 3, and dinner at 6. And then there's a bedtime recharge shake at the end of the day. And that is my day. So I really only have, from that 6 p.m. dinner, I try to get in bed like between 10 and 11. I have the bedtime shake at 10. So that's like the biggest spread, is from 6 to 10, 4 hours not eating. Some people, I guess they must not sleep very much, because it's like people get up at crazy hours to work out. So they're like eating their pre-workout meal at like 3:30 in the morning, and then, you know, their last meal is at like 3 p.m. and it's a long time until bedtime. So I'm glad that I'm able to sleep more than that. But, you know, I'm just saying, if you have a very long day, you could be going a longer period without eating, because it's kind of an approach similar to intermittent fasting, where your food is all in a certain window, and then when you're done for the day until the next morning. But during your window, you're eating every 2 to 3 hours, which is pretty fun. So the first week on Plan C, like I said, at the end of the meal, I'd still be hungry, counting the minutes, lightheaded, headaches, crabby, grouchy, hangry. I had a hard time falling asleep because my stomach was rumbling, and I would wake up in the middle of the night starving, unable to fall back asleep. So those are just really all of the symptoms that Autumn had been mentioning in the test group. Like, if you are having these symptoms, try it out for a week just to make sure it's not just your body adjusting. But then those are the symptoms that you need to go up a bracket. So I was like, oh, fine. Excited about having more food, but I was like, okay, now I have to do more meal planning. But because it was broken down, like, okay, so I already had done the work of figuring out 5 meals every day that I gotta eat. What are they gonna be? Well, I do the same for 2. Pre and post workout are the same. Containers now are a little different, but it's the same like base meal with something added in. So I took some of the work out of it that way, so then I only have to figure out lunch and dinner. Lunch is always leftovers, and I cook dinner. So it's really not that different from what I was doing before, but because I already had the 5 meals on Plan C, going up to Plan D was not that much of a stretch. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is this plan finally got me to figure out, how am I going to work in this extra protein, extra vegetables into my life that I knew that I needed, but I was too lazy to just do the planning. That's all it was. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've sat there looking at the 21 Day Fix book, like, I probably should really be in this bracket, but I just don't want to deal with like how to get these extra servings in. I mean, it's so silly, but it was this mental block for me. And finally gotten past that. So basically the other thing I wanted to say though is my teaspoons used to be bigger than a teaspoon. I remember there was one night, this is the week I was on Plan C, and I get to have the orange container with dinner. It's always, was usually green or black olives, sometimes sunflower seeds, or, you know, sometimes it's a dressing, but I love olives. So I was sitting there and I like was cooking dinner and I couldn't even wait to eat my olives. I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this where you're just ravenous and it's like you're just inhaling the food, but that was the feeling. And like fat, like my body like needs energy now, like get that fat in your stomach. Healthy fats, of course. But so that's the difference, you know? Like at the beginning of a meal, I would feel like a starving person versus someone who just has like a reasonable amount of hunger. And like if somebody interrupts me as I'm starting to eat my meal, I'm not going to get angry at them if I have to wait 5 more minutes to start eating. Okay, so that's the mental difference for me. I can like cook dinner, finish. If it takes a little longer to cook, I don't have a meltdown. My inner 2-year-old was coming out a lot, but I realized that was like kind of how I'd been living. I would like try and stretch it, low blood sugar a lot of the time, and just didn't feel good. I have so much more energy, more focus at work. It's really, really incredible. The day passes so much faster. I feel like I'm more productive. Like, if you feel that you may not be eating enough, I really would encourage you to experiment with this, and please reach out to me, and you know, we can work on it together, because I know that there is like there can be some psychological blocks. There definitely were for me, and I still have some fear. Like, there was a day, I think it was like Saturday or Sunday, that I woke up and I just felt fat, you know? I was like, oh my God, I'm huge. Like, that's what's going on in my head. And I walked downstairs. I'm like, I don't care. I have to get on the scale, because at that point, when I first started on Plan D, I felt like I was choking down the food. Like, just that small difference. It was so much more food than I was used to. I was like, I don't know if I should finish this, like overriding my natural feeling of fullness, which is something that I generally don't recommend. But you know, I wanted to try it because the whole idea is that your metabolism adjusts to eating more food. So I wanted to eat the full amount for bracket D. It's not that much more. It's like 200 calories more per day than bracket C. So I'm doing it, and like, you know, when I went up from C to D, constantly feeling full, stuffed, the next meal would come and I wouldn't even want it. Like, that was how big the difference was for me. So I woke up feeling enormous. Hi to whoever just got on. And I went down to the scale, and of course it's like the same weight as always. And you know, the mind just plays tricks on us. So there can be those psychological blocks where, you know, like 2-3 days in, I was like, oh, I can't do this. And just had to get through that, and my body has adjusted, and it feels like the right amount of food for me now, like 9 days in. You know, feeling satisfied at the end of the meal, feeling hungry at the next meal. The body adjusts really quickly. It's pretty cool. So what else do I want to tell you guys about this? Oh, yeah. So I was making all of these like little compensations. So I said my teaspoon was not a teaspoon. Like, I was probably putting a tablespoon in my shake in the morning. I'm saying it's a teaspoon, but like really filling it up. Okay, and then same thing with my recover and recharge. So in between that, I was having way more teaspoons per day than, and I was like, oh, well, it's healthy fats. How can you really have too much of that? And again, there's like a certain amount of merit. I'm not like discrediting everything that I said before, but it's been really funny to me how my body isn't craving those larger servings of fat now that I'm eating more vegetables and more protein. Like, it's really, really incredible. Okay, the other thing I've known for the longest time, I really should put a serving of vegetables in my shake, but I just didn't want to. And now it's like a drop in a handful of spinach every morning. It's like not even a big deal. Not a big deal. I don't know why I resisted it, but my shake was kind of my treat. I am not a morning person. It's, again, like a psychological attachment where I just wanted like my shake with my banana and peanut butter, and I didn't want to put any vegetables in it. Well, you can barely taste it. So now I do spinach. And all right, so I had been doing a whole banana instead of a half, even though it's 2 purples. So I finally let go of that, and I don't even miss it. In fact, I feel better without it, because like that much, even the natural sugars from fruit all at once made me feel kind of like blood sugar roller coaster. So there is like a lot of, this plan just makes a lot of sense if you trust it. And as much as I have been an advocate for it, I was holding out and I was stubborn on a few things that when I finally let go, I just feel so much better. So, I mean, you guys, honestly, some of you are ahead of where I was in terms of following it more faithfully. And I'm okay with that. I'm human too, you know, just because I'm a coach, just because I'm the leader of this team does not make me any Doesn't make me perfect or closer to perfect than any of you whatsoever. I'm human. Oh yeah, and then also like on a salad, I would do like a half an avocado, and it's a quarter for a blue container, right? And I was always like, oh, who can just eat 1/4 of an avocado? Well, now when I eat more than that, it seems like too much. And like even tonight, putting my blue container of cheese on my chili, it seemed like a lot of cheese. And before, again, when I wasn't eating enough, I would be like, give me all the cheese, because my body just needed those calories because I wasn't getting enough. So if you're wondering why you're not satisfied with these like tiny container servings, they're actually an appropriate serving if you're getting enough of the rest of your food. Again, those vegetables and protein. As far as what I've done, because I now have 6 red containers per day, so I always have meat at lunch, meat at dinner, and then depending what, and then my shake is the third. Depending what I'm doing for my pre and post workout meal, it's often something with either eggs or Greek yogurt, and then I'll have cottage cheese for the last one. So I try to keep my meat to 2 servings a day. Sometimes if it's with breakfast like turkey bacon or sausage, then I end up adding a third and a fourth, but it gets to be a lot of meat. So I really try and mix it up so I'm not eating like the same protein 6 times a day, and that really helps me get more protein in. I'll share with you guys too my travel tips, because I'm going to Los Angeles on Wednesday, and I'm going to try to stay faithful to the plan for the most part. I'm going to have probably a couple meals where I let myself deviate, but I'm trying to really stick to the containers on the go, staying in hotels. So, and like, you know, at the airport, that's going to be interesting, but I have a plan that I'll be sharing with you guys. So yeah, I bumped up to bracket D, and so far I have not gained 100 pounds. I mean, it's just funny, these fears we have, right? But that's kind of what was in my head. I feel amazing. I have been lifting heavier in my workouts than I've ever lifted before. I feel great. I said that like 3 times. I'm kind of tired, but I really do feel good. So guys, if you have any questions, or like if you can relate to any of the symptoms that I described, or this feeling that you're skating by and always having to fill in with like extras and snacks and treats, it doesn't have to be that way. Like it's kind of crazy how this has just shifted overnight for me. And like I said, we'll see what happens with body composition and everything, and you know, but so far I just feel really good, and I would be shocked if I, you know, gained a significant amount of weight just from basically feeding my body what it needs. And it has not been that much more work on the prep either. So if there's any recipes that I mentioned, I share most everything in here anyway, but if there's anything you're wondering about that I can help with, that I can share with you, please leave me a comment, send me a message, reach out to me somehow. But you know, this is what I love. I think all of this stuff is so interesting. I love analyzing it. I would love to help you if there's some part of this that you're struggling with. We'll work on it together. So let me know. Let me know your thoughts. If you are following 80-Day Obsession, if anyone has had any similar experiences, I'd love to hear about it. All right, I'll be back in a few days with those travel tips. Let me know if you have any specific questions about eating healthy while traveling. See you later, guys.